What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I want to make three things perfectly clear at the very beginning of this. There are no rumors about this place. Their heads do not turn. And by the end of this, we have no fucking idea what's going on, guys. We're talking about Hell House LLC from 2015. I'm Dusty Lane.
Get in the flash. I'm Jason Mitchell.
And we are the Cenobites.
Hello?
I came for you. We have such sights to show you.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
I want to play a game.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was. This is God.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Put your brothers into that door!
But sometimes, that is better.
Welcome back to Oblivion, everyone. We are here today to talk about Hell House LLC from 2015, written and directed by Stephen Cognetti.
Cognetti. He's,
Dario Argento, presente.
I wanted just to talk about, he doesn't have a whole lot of movies he's done. He's got 4 Hell House movies, and there's one on the way. Hell House LLC Lineage.
Yeah.
And then he's got one other one called 825 Forest Road. It's a Shudder original, and I watched the trailer last night.
Okay.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah?
Kind of similar to this, well, it turns out this house is haunted, and there's stuff there too, so right up his alley, I think.
He found his niche immediately, yeah.
Right.
This is a Cognetti Films joint in association with Mary Lou's Boys, produced by Joe Bandelli. Distributor, Terror Films, POV Horror, and The B-Stream. This movie is not rated.
Nice.
Runtime of 93 minutes. Our setting is the fictional town of Abaddon, New York, loosely based on Rockland County, New York. The footage in the hotel, however, was filmed at a real haunted house attraction in Towamencing, Pennsylvania, called the Waldorf Estate of Fear.
Okay.
We're caught somewhere between the Overlook and Hotel California in this. A group of friends learns the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. Their fake haunted hotel, located in a real haunted hotel, takes a turn for the worse, and 5 years later, a documentary film crew investigates. And let me tell you, buddy, at the Hotel Abaddon, you can check out, but you can never leave.
Okay. Pretty accurate.
Getting into our cast list a little bit here, we've got Sarah Havel, played by Ryan Jennifer Jones, her boyfriend Alex, and kind of the head of this whole operation, played by Danny Bellini. This dude's a fucking douche, man. I fucking hate this guy.
I don't know if I really hated any of them too much. I mean,
no, he's just one of those fucking, he's just such a snarky fucking holier than thou.
He's essentially the director.
He's trying to keep the show running, but he just reminds me of the coolest kid in fucking theater club, always so passionate about everything and trying to keep everybody, but like everything he says is turning everyone off at the same time.
Right. He said maybe it's like a mean director style kind of, hey, we need to get this done. We're doing this. It's all for the sake of the haunt.
Right.
We
got our buddy Paul O'Keefe behind the camera for most of this, played by Gore Abrams. Tony Prescott, who does all the fucking work in this whole movie, played by Jared Hacker. We've got Andrew McNamara, but they call him Mac, played by Adam Schneider. I think that character maybe is kind of a nod to The Thing, because we've got a character with like a Mac something name. McCready in that, but they call him Mac. Okay. I think calling him Mac in this is sort of a nod to that. Diane Graves, our documentarian, played by Alice Balke. Joey Scheffler, our fucking clown buddy with the crazy eye trick he can do.
Gross.
Played by Phil Hess. Melissa, our damsel in distress, played by Lauren A. Kennedy. We've got journalist Martin Cliver, played by Jeb Krieger. Miranda Kelly, who's just like a witness. She's got some videos popping up here and there throughout this documentary, played by Miranda Robbins. I always think it's so unfair when someone gets to play a character that's just their same name in a movie.
Yeah, what are the odds? But I almost wonder if maybe they had a different name for her. Miranda came in and landed the role, and then after a minute, we need to name you something else, and Miranda just works.
Right. I mean, who cares? It's someone named Miranda.
Right.
Robert Lyons, who is an author who I believe wrote something having to do with Hell House, played by Theodore Bouloukos, and he's a fucking weirdo. I love this dude. Cinematography by Brian C. Harnick, and score by Larry Hopkins. Those are a couple of very important key elements to this movie, in my opinion, because it's a found footage movie. But it's filmed in a way where they take some liberties with that. They throw in some editing here and there to kind of keep us guessing as the audience.
Right.
So I think that was handled really well. And the score, it's cool that normally during a found footage movie we don't have a score, but adding that extra element in because it's a documentary or supposed to be framed as one, I think it does a lot for us as the audience, pulling us in and creating a little more tension here and there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, like, looking back and thinking about the watch through. I don't remember hearing any music, but like you said, it's there enough to elevate all of the...
It's all over the place, and they put it in here and there in the same way that someone making a documentary would. They're talking about something a little more somber, so this piano music filters in.
I definitely noticed that. I got you.
Yeah, so that's not diegetic, but we do get some of that as well with like Paul playing the piano and stuff. Later as well, which that becomes kind of a theme that resonates through the whole franchise. We'll talk about that too. So the story goes, Stephen Cognetti began writing the script in 2012 after visiting an abandoned house near Rockland Lake, New York. It took him over a year to finalize the draft that he was ready to go into production with, and he searched for a real abandoned house or hotel but couldn't find anything that worked for him until he met Angie Moyer, who owns the Waldorf Estate of Fear. She plays Sam in this movie, by the way. She allowed him to film there while simultaneously acting as the film's set designer, which makes sense. So this is her haunted house. Like, obviously, they basically didn't have to do anything to it to get it ready because it's already a haunted attraction. You know?
Oh, okay. I thought you were diving into some lore of the movie already, and I was like, whoa.
No.
I know.
The director searching around for locations found this Waldorf Estate of Fear and talked to them about filming in there, and it ended up, working out for both sides. Really, I'm sure that was like fantastic marketing for this fucking haunted house. By the way,
hell yeah.
Speaking of the bulk of the movie, let's get into it. To kick off, in true found footage fashion, we open right up with some found footage. What?
Fucking weird.
No opening credits, that is. There's a lot of found footage movies like to do this to heighten the authenticity of it. Pretty cool. Good move, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We see a classic camcorder shot just staring out a window of a moving car, watching trees pass overhead, and then we get a quick info card telling us, what you are about to see is a documentary on the mysterious events surrounding the 2009 haunted Halloween house tour tragedy. First of all, is that what we're officially calling it? Maybe a little wordy, but I like the alliteration.
This is the title card.
Second, that sounds awfully close to a certain massacre that may or may not have happened in Texas involving chainsaws.
Yes.
And finally, speaking of TCM, things like Paranormal Activity, for instance, I really like when they toss in things like this, as we mentioned, lending to the authenticity of the film, trying to make the audience believe, oh shit, this is really happening.
Right.
Even though it's not legit, it still puts you in a place mentally, emotionally, where your awareness is raised a bit, I guess. It's a really good marketing ploy as well, and used to tremendous effect since things like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Paranormal Activity. But to switch things up a bit, we do have a score going on. Like I said, normally we don't in found footage movies, but framed as a documentary, it allows us to present it as such.
Right.
So I like that addition. And speaking of it being a faux documentary, we cut to Diane Graves and her cameraman arriving outside the abandoned Abaddon Hotel, trying to get a little look-see inside.
Right. Yeah, this place is beat to hell. All the windows are boarded up.
Yeah, they should not fucking be here. Fuck this place.
Right.
Way too scary. While we watch that footage, we hear her in a voiceover during an interview ask, in your opinion, what happened that night at the Abaddon Hotel? And a journalist named Martin Cliver kind of just shrugs in response. He's like, you fucking tell me, bitch. I don't know. I just work here. And
I don't know, bitch.
And that witness, Miranda Kelly, weighs in and echoes that point. Fucking no idea, dude.
Right.
Back to Diane struggling to find a way into this place. Hey, lady, that's your sign not to go in. It doesn't like you. I don't like you either. She sees a no trespassing sign on the door. Okay, I was mistaken. That's your sign not to go in.
Oh, yep. That'll be it.
She does not succeed in getting in at this point, but the camera does pan past the Hell House LLC sign, now broken and dirty, having fallen off the place, apparently.
Right.
I like seeing this place in its ruined state in the aftermath of the event. That does a little work on, getting you to a certain place as well.
Right. It's pretty cool, but also doesn't look that much different either.
No.
The place is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. 5 years later, it's pretty much still in the same,
Like the sign
same
fell.
state.
That's not
Right.
That's about it.
You would have expected by what we find out in the end of this thing for this whole place to just like implode into the earth like Poltergeist.
Right. House is gone.
Right. We cut to a breaking news segment, footage from Channel 8 New York suggesting that some serious shit went down inside this place, but nobody seems to know what or why.
Yeah, they're pretty quiet about it, which we find out is on purpose.
Mm-hmm. We get a quick peek at my favorite interviewee here, Robert Lyons, saying, Hell House was a real tragedy on many levels. This dude's a fucking weirdo. He's built like old Santa Claus, first of all. And he kind of gives off Mr. French from Family Affair vibes.
Nice.
We cut back to the news footage and we see appalled guests standing around and emergency response teams running around. Looks like a real shit show. Apparently there were multiple deaths on site and police aren't talking.
Damn.
Robert Lyons pops back in to tell us these poor victims paid for a scare experience in what was supposed to be a controlled environment, but instead they got total chaos.
Man, it's a pretty good idea. You've ever thought about that? You like pay to go to a haunted house.
And if some shit actually starts going down, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, which we see here. We're going to talk about it in a few, but it's like, people are running by. Oh, is it supposed to happen like that? I don't know.
You would think,
Hey,
at first glance, you're like, wow, this haunted house is great.
Right.
But no, there's some, that fucking lady needs help, man.
Right. People screaming in the background, and you don't know.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
No, they're supposed to be screaming. That's the whole point.
Right.
Another info card tells us October 8th, 2009, the haunted house opened in Abaddon, New York in Rockland County. We get some cool dissonant piano in the score that starts here and continues through the movie. Pretty cool and slightly unsettling. And we'll get some of that live spooky piano later, too. We get a little bit with EMTs cleaning people up, and VO says, we're not sure if anybody from the company has made it out alive as of right now. A couple of quick interviews of witnesses saying, something happened probably, or whatever. And one dude says he was just standing in line for 5 minutes, and then a shitload of people just started pouring out of this place. So what the fuck happened?
Yeah, fuck.
We cut back to Diane finding an open door, and it fades to black while the thunder rolls. And the lightning strikes. Meow, meow, meow.
You never just go inside and unlock. This place is boarded up. Everything's fucking tightened up. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, doors just unlocked.
Mm-hmm. We get more of the reveal of that later. I guess we're kind of going back and forth between, footage of the event and then later when Diane is visiting this place.
Right.
And it seems like she doesn't get in at first, but then later when they reveal at the end that they finally do get into the place, there's not much resistance. So I think this is just an unlocked door the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So Robert Lyons pops back up and says, whenever someone asks him what happened, he just says, you watch the video. You tell me. Cool. So who fucking has answers? Fucking nobody knows nothing, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Nobody's got an opinion either.
Right.
This video's on YouTube, though, evidently.
Yeah, we get the next video we're shown here is a YouTube video from a guest at the haunted house. After the shit went down, here's where we get our first taste of the haunted house experience.
Mm-hmm.
This guest is recording while standing in line. We get a great shot of Hell House, the sign actually hanging in its rightful place. We hear spooky music blasting in the background, and man, oh man, did this make me want to be back at a haunted house.
Right.
God, I love them. I've worked in a few legit ones, made a few in relatives' front yards, but watching this, I just wanted it to be October again so I can get my fix.
Hell yeah.
There was an interesting song playing in the background here as well. It sounded a hell of a lot like Somebody's Watching Me, but I think it was like a royalty-free version where they kind of all the beats were there, but it wasn't exactly that. This was also reminding me of another found footage movie, The House is October Built, which we should probably cover at some point. That's another good one if you like found footage movies about haunted houses where things aren't exactly as they appear to be.
Right.
You ever seen any of those?
No. I know I've heard the name before, but I'm not familiar.
They're pretty cool. So in this video, people are just hanging out waiting to get in, and then finally it's whoever's taking this video's turn. Seems like your standard haunt attraction, nice and dark, people screaming, black lights all over the place, spooky shit everywhere, people jumping out, whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks pretty cool, but looks pretty standard too.
Yeah.
Pretty typical haunted house shit.
Until...
Yeah, I was going to say this is this is something that I noticed right away and took note of, and we didn't really know how important this was until the end.
Right.
But as they're moving in, a clown runs by.
Yeah. Just goes shuffling past him in the house. Doesn't try to like jump out and scare him or anything. In fact, he kind of ducks past him like, pardon me. Oh, excuse me.
Right.
I gotta go take a shit. And you don't really think anything of it, but it is weird.
Yeah, it's strange. Why is the line moving the other way, kind of thing?
The one girl looks like, was that supposed to happen? Hey man, don't you work here? Scare me for fuck's sake.
Right. And then we get somebody go out an exit door here too, right?
Yeah, they get a little deeper into the haunt, and another girl opens up a side door and runs off up some stairs that clearly aren't part of the show. And I love the setup here that'll be paid off later when we see that behind the scenes footage. But right now we're just planting little seeds. Why is that clown running away? Where's that girl going? Hey, the path is this way. Where are you guys going? That kind of shit.
Right.
One guy just dismisses it as, oh man, technical difficulties on opening night. Mm-hmm.
Could be, yeah.
Heard that.
Heard that.
They move past some more spooky bits until they reach a staircase going down, and all of a sudden we get a traffic jam. They can't go any further down than just a few steps. When the crowd turns around and everyone starts stampeding back up them, everybody's losing their shit. They go back the way they came and shit just starts going haywire. They run through a kitchen and fucking racks are falling over. People are getting pelted with pots and pans and shit. And then screaming and yelling from everyone in there is pretty intense. It's hard not to watch this scene without holding your breath a little bit.
Right.
Like, holy hell, what is happening?
Good, for sure.
They run down another hall and we see one of the workers here, Mac, ushering people out through a side door.
Mm-hmm.
They get back outside, and I gotta tell you, this is the fastest response I have ever seen from police, fire, EMT, etc.
Oh, yeah,
this
dude.
shit just happened.
Everybody's there, too.
And when these people run out, fire trucks and shit are already pulling up. Couldn't have been more than a minute ago. How in the hell could someone have already called that in?
Right.
But the footage finally freezes with a cool score sting, and we cut back to the news footage where firemen are just wheeling out a fucking body.
Right.
Jesus.
Stretchers, body bags.
Miranda pops back on the screen and tells us, well, people were confused by the YouTube video, then we got the 911 tape leaked, and that just confused people even more.
Yeah, I didn't think it helped all that much, but hey, I guess every piece kind of matters in something like this, right?
Not a ton to it other than kind of painting that scene that we get revealed later. Like, we hear this 911 call, and the girl's telling the dispatcher, hey, send police. The dispatcher asks what the problem is, and she says, I don't know, something, and then the call drops for a second. And when it cuts back in, she just cries, into the wall.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The dispatcher goes, can you repeat that? I can't hear you. And the girl says, please hurry, I don't want to die. Cuts out again, and we hear a horrible demonic growl come across the phone.
Yeah, they tried saying it was a malfunction. And I was like, of fucking what?
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, the cause of death is vaguely being blamed on a severe malfunction. Okay, Dr. Evil, that'll do.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the animatronics malfunctioned and
Right.
8 people died.
And murdered people.
Yeah.
Robert Lyons comes on saying, all we had to go on was the YouTube video and the 911 call. That didn't really tell us much. He's kind of stumbling over his lines here, but I like the choice to keep it because it adds to the realism. This dude's not an actor. You know,
Right.
He's just an author telling us his story.
Yep.
And he adds that after a while, a photographer named Martin Cliver comes along. And I love his delivery on this is ridiculous, but I love it. He's overacting. He does this goofy nod and he's like, this guy gets inside the hotel, takes pictures, puts them up on the internet.
Yeah.
He's like, he starts to raise some real questions about this place that the town doesn't want answered.
Yeah, what in the fuck is going on?
So Martin comes on and tells us that there were gag orders put on everyone involved with the case. Like, damn, really? What are we trying to cover up and who are we trying to protect?
Yeah.
We see a newspaper article calling it a real Hell House, and then Martin says asking questions got him nowhere, so he decided to go to he decided So he decided to go to the source. He ends up breaking into this place. Well, if you weren't in trouble before, now you fucking are a criminal. We get a slideshow of these pictures, blood streaks and handprints all over the place on the walls, the floors. One in particular is cool because you see the blood trail go into a wall and just stop.
Right.
And turns out the wall was a door the whole time. The whole time?
The whole time.
So Diane asks Martin what he makes of the blood on the floor, and he says, well, it debunks the theory of a gas leak. What? Who fucking thought it was a gas leak?
Yeah, wouldn't the house have exploded?
You would think, yeah. Or at least murdered everyone silently inside, and it would just be a weird thing that, oh, this guy was just sitting on this bench. There's no foul play involved. He just died. But he says they all knew that was bullshit in the first place. I like this sequence here a lot, too, because we're seeing the pictures that he took of the aftermath intercut into the video footage from the YouTube video.
Right.
So with every segment of the video, we get a picture to match, like a before and after kind of thing.
Yeah, dude, it's really, really good editing.
There's
I
some
like it.
really fantastic choices made in the direction of this movie, man. Such a simple detail, but extremely effective.
Right.
Martin says he made his way to the basement door, which was blown off its hinges. Damn, dog.
Yeah. What?
That's not easy to do.
Blown off.
Stop. But he tells us even though he's seen a lot and been to a lot of scary places over his career, he just couldn't bring himself to go down those stairs. So he stood off to the side and just kind of reached his camera in and snapped a couple pictures. Oh, you fucking pussy. I thought you were a big journalist on campus. You wanted answers. And now when you actually get here, you bitch out. Nice, dude.
It's because he knows, dude.
Real nice.
He got one of them feelings, you know?
We see those pictures, and there's more blood on the walls and handprints on the stairs. Another info card tells us Sarah Havel, who is a member of Hell House, reached out to Diane Graves for an interview. Oh shit, here we go. Let's get some fucking insider info to shed some light on the situation.
Yeah.
Another line of text says she hasn't been heard from since the tragedy, though. Okay, that's a little suspicious.
Well, Diane jumps right in. Very first question. Where have you been?
Right.
I was like, damn, dude, shouldn't you like kind of take it easy on her? You know, she's been MIA for all these years. Question number one. The fuck you been, bitch?
Yeah, what happened? Tell us everything right now.
I demand to know what happened.
Well, Diane asks her to state her name and age, and she says she's 30 years old, and I wonder if that math tracks. Like, spoilers, everybody. I'm just wondering if 5 years after the incident she would have been 30, or if she died at 30 and no one noticed 5 years later when she was still calling herself 30. Anyway, she says she was a member of Hell House since its beginning in 2002. So they had previously done haunts within that company. Hell House was just their newest venture that, goes awry. Diane asks where she's been, like you said, and she goes, oh, I've been staying with family. She asks how she's been coping, and Sarah answers, I'm in a better place now. Very vague responses that could potentially have more than one meaning. Keep that in your back pocket for the moment. And it's funny, too, because when she says she's in a better place, Diane responds with, oh, I'm happy to hear that, which was perfectly well-meaning, but with the information we get later, it's like, yeah, I'm glad you're dead, you bitch.
Yeah.
Diane mentions the town choosing to sweep everything under the rug caused people to speculate on their own, but Sarah says, well, the town made the right decision, and then when asked why, she says, because if people knew what really went on inside, it would have been hard for them to deal with. Jesus, what are we talking about here? Child sex trafficking, concentration camp, what?
Whoa. Damn.
But Diane asks Sarah to just go back to the beginning and explain everything, and Sarah just picks up this little knapsack full of tapes. It's like a fucking tied-up T-shirt full of tapes and sets them on the table.
Tapes.
Right. She says it's everything that happened in the house from the time they got there to set it up, filmed by Paul and Tony along with a few tour goers. Diane's like, what the fuck? How'd you get these and not the police? And Sarah's like, I got to them first. All right, this bitch is creepy. Can we bring the police in to arrest this ghost, please?
I was going to say right away, you guys might have fucked up.
Anybody got a fucking ecto-containment unit handy? Diane asks, okay, why didn't you give them to the police? And she just says, you'll see.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
All right, well, let's get into it then. Cameraman Mitchell takes the bag and starts going through the footage, which Sarah watches him leave like a fucking weirdy, just staring at him.
Yeah. Everything is fucked up about this, man.
Right. The way Sarah's acting right here is so strange and eerie. Like, as the door closes, she kind of snaps her head back to Diane with a blank expression, like she's an animal or an alien or something. It's very inhuman, whatever it is.
Don't spoil it.
But Diane asks Sarah if she knows what's on the tapes, and she just says, Hell House. What you want me to say, bitch?
Yeah.
But we get a title card saying this is the Hell House footage taped from August 23rd to October 8th, 2009. We start with a nice car ride. Alex, Tony, Mac, Paul, and Sarah, they're playing a game. They're doing like a Name That Movie thing. And I went in, honestly.
Yeah, dude, it seemed kind of fun. Although Sarah's guess seemed pretty funny to me here, too.
Dude.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong, but I swear he said something about Will Smith, right?
He did.
So why in the fuck did she guess Escape from New York?
Well, when it's Paul filming and he says, all right, this is a recent film. Should be easy, okay? And she goes, okay, post-apocalyptic, set in New York. And apparently Will Smith is in it. And he goes, no, it's not Hitch, first of all. But she guesses, yeah, Escape from New York. Like, bitch, what the fuck? He said it came out last year, which would have been 2008. You just simply do not know movies, do you?
I mean, I just immediately thought like Men in Black. But, you know, I don't know if that's New York. Is that New York or is that California?
I think New York.
Probably,
if
right?
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think so. But Paul echoes that point. He just turns the camera on himself and he goes, okay, so for those watching, I just want to make sure everyone is aware how much of an idiot Sarah is. She just asked if it's a 1981 Kurt Russell joint.
Yeah.
And Mac is driving. He gets all pissed off. He's like, have we all just given up on navigating? Am I just doing it all? Well, fuck, man, you are driving, and Alex is up front with you. Are you telling me no one's allowed to pass the time with anything other than confirming your fucking location? Jesus. Do I hear joy being experienced in here? And Alex reassures Mac that they're on course, but we cut to them just arguing out in the middle of a fucking field. And Sarah goes, man, they're so passionate. And Paul is like, is that what he's like in the sack? She breaks this whole thing up by saying she's hungry, and finally they arrive at the Abaddon Hotel. Paul says it's a shithole, and he's not wrong, but hey, that's perfect for a haunted house.
That's what I thought too.
The property looks like a fucking redneck cannibal heaven, just trash and junked cars all over the place.
Yeah, dude, and this was crazy to me. I mean, once again, front door's just unlocked. And I thought it kind of seemed like they were meeting somebody here to, hey, here's your property, sign your paper, and then they just kind of go inside.
Yeah.
And there
turns
we
out
go.
The real estate agent was a ghost the whole time.
Yeah, they just kind of set up shop and boom, there they go, you know.
We get some footage of them just checking the place out. They go upstairs so that we see the original sign on the place, Hotel Abaddon, which should be mentioned that Abaddon is the name of a demon that guards the gates of hell, supposedly.
That's sick, dude.
In some versions of the Bible, anyway. They walk in the front door, and Alex gives a flashy little, "Welcome to Hell House 2009." And Tony looks around like, Jesus, man. When you said abandoned, I thought you meant like recently foreclosed, not condemned.
Right. I don't think it was that bad.
Dude, the place is super gross. Looks like no one's been in here for fucking decades. Paul finds his way to a piano that will come into play in a big way later. One of them says, hey, look at this old ass book. And the delivery reminded me of, here's a nice piece of shit. They get into a little spat about needing to run power in the place, and honestly, they don't seem like they work very well together. How have they been doing so for 7 years at this point?
I would imagine that this is going to be the hardest job that they've had, you know.
Just getting power.
But in general, I guess that's part of it is they're all really close, like brother level.
Yeah.
And that's why they're all at each other's throat right away, too, you know. So
they're looking around at this nasty-ass place, and Alex calls it free production design. Honestly, not a bad point. He does a big sniff, and he goes, you smell that? What's that smell like to you? And Mac's like, dead rodents.
No, that's money.
Yeah, Paul fucking chimes in. Smells like money. Hell yeah, that's the spirit. Speaking of spirits, Paul calls dibs on manning the haunted bar. They walk through a wine cellar, and Paul says he's a Pinot Grigio man right here.
Oh, yeah.
And Tony's like, well, this wine probably tastes like ass after so many summers cooking.
Yeah.
And Paul's like, hey, man, wine tastes better with age. And Tony's like, yeah, but not with fucking heat, idiot.
Yeah, it's got to be. Might as well bury it in a hole. Be better than sitting in that fucking place.
Right. Paul's a pretty funny guy, though. He says they should all stay there tonight, and I got Dan Aykroyd and Ghostbusters vibes. They find a chain hanging from a ceiling in the attic. Once again, keep that in mind for later.
Right.
Just then, they get some like weird radio static on the walkie-talkie, and right after that, Alex yells through it for Tony and Paul to get back downstairs. So interesting that we got some interference immediately followed by crystal clear sound.
Right. Walkie-talkie yelly jump scare.
Right.
Fucking got me, dude.
As they walk down, Tony tells Paul to turn off the camera because he's going to break his neck on the stairs, more foreshadowing to his eventual death.
Oh, shit.
As they walk down, the camera pans past a room, and whoever's making the documentary slows it down so we can see that there was someone standing in a corner wearing a robe.
Fucking cloaked figure.
So, yeah, they're already not alone.
Right.
They make their way down to the basement and find some numbers on the wall. Alex starts taking him through the beats of how he sees this section of the haunted house going. He's like, the guests will come in through here. We're going to have a girl chained up and screaming. He adds, maybe topless for Paul. And then,
yes.
And then over here, we got clowns on the opposite wall for some reason. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. I like that he thinks this is some brilliant revelation he's had when he's just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what'll stick. When you get right down to it, this ends up being a really shitty haunted house.
I thought it was good.
No, dude, it fucking it looks like just the place that it was before, A. They just throw up some lights here and there, a couple of dummies, and they fucking just nothing about it is cohesive at all. What the fuck is interesting about a girl chained up in the basement and then there's just a bunch of clown dummies sitting on the floor across the room?
Scared me.
Well, eventually because of what happens with them, sure, but
right.
No, the original idea,
so the concept.
Chained up girl and right over here clowns. What the fuck, who's making that connection in their brain.
So you think it's a bad concept?
It's a terrible fucking concept, and you're a shitty haunted house owner.
Yeah, you've done this before?
I have done this before.
No, not you. I meant him.
Oh, yeah.
Chained up girl, 5 clowns on the wall.
Right.
Okay.
Sure. Alex says, hey, we've handled much worse. Remember Queens? And Tony immediately pipes up and says, hey, we said we'd never talk about that, man.
Yeah, we don't talk about Queens.
Like, what the fuck happened in Queens, dude?
Yeah.
Sarah finds a Bible on the ground, and suddenly they realize there's a shitload of Bibles all over the place, and one of them tries to reason that it's not that weird. Hey, it's a hotel. There's Bibles in every room. Oh, shit. Okay, you know what? Decent point. That's just business. You got to have a place to store the extras, you know?
What about the pentagrams all over the fucking walls?
I wasn't going to talk about that part.
Yeah, that's kind of what sets it off here. It's not that there's a bunch of random Bibles in the scary, creepy basement.
It's just the everything about everything.
It's the shrine that might as well be going on the wall. You know, the goats.
Pentagram. Ade Dewey Dembella.
Yeah, the goat's blood in the corner and the candles that are lit. You know, regardless, pretty sick decorating.
They didn't have to do shit. Yeah. Alex mentions that this place was huge, a huge get because half the work's already done for him. And Paul says, yeah, man, check it out. Free props. And he holds up a lady's shoe he found near a suitcase. Dude, that should be way more alarming. Like, that belonged to a woman who never left that hotel, or at least not with her belongings.
Maybe she forgot her shoe, Dusty.
And her whole suitcase? I think not. We cut back to Diane and Sarah. Diane asks what it was like living in a hotel. Was it super cool? And I gotta say, I've often wondered the same thing, thinking about how cozy a movie like The Shining is. Like, goddamn, how nice would that be? Yeah. All alone in a huge hotel, nobody around for miles, surrounded by all that beauty. I really don't give a fuck if I go crazy. Fucking sign me up, dude.
Yeah, no thanks. Something about a very empty, large building is uncomforting.
I fucking love it. I don't know what it is. I know I'm the weirdo here, but I just, like, I want that so bad.
I would say something even as simple as if you stayed at work half hour, 45 minutes, and the place literally emptied out.
It does, yeah.
It just feels weird.
Maybe a little bit. I like it, though. I just like it. I don't know what it is. I like it, okay?
I'm the only one here. It's my fucking place. Fuck all y'all.
Sarah says it took about a week to get the electricity going, and that's when they started to stay there overnight. And that's also when things started to take a turn. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, my God.
We get an amazing shot of a huge yellow moon, and then we join our crew in the haunted bar, where your money is no good here, Mr. Mitchell. They're drinking and playing some Hold'em, looks like. They're talking about past experiences in the haunted house business, and they're telling a story about when one of them was playing a werewolf, and they're trying to remember what Paul was, and he's like, oh, right, I think I was like the Puss Slayer or something.
The Puss Slayer.
Moral of the story is they tried really hard to scare some girls that came through, and instead, the girls laughed their asses off at them. Aw, poor dudes. Listen, man, don't take it personally. You're going to get all kinds of reactions out of people. I don't scream when I'm in a haunted house. That doesn't mean I'm not appreciating it. Paul goes back to talking about the Queens Project and saying it was actually a great time. And there was one actor in particular that had a thick New York accent.
Oh my God, like, here we go again,
huh? Yeah, welcome to Lucifer's cabin or what the fuck ever. You looking at me? I'm walking here.
We're going to lose any listeners in New York.
No, they're going to love it so much.
I don't think they like the podcast.
No, it's Mac making fun of the dude. Welcome to Lucifer's cabin. That's not how the devil talks. Alex says he had to fire that guy and he almost kicked his ass. He decides at this point that he needs to make a toast all of a sudden. He's all excited about this new project in a town that really appreciates Halloween. And Sarah says, hey man, at least if you're in the city, you can walk out and get a fucking slice. Speaking of New York. If you get scared out here in the middle of nowhere, you're just fucked.
Yeah, I get what she's saying. You know, you walk outside and it's still kind of creepy.
Yeah.
You know?
Alex says he's just trying to keep everybody motivated. I gotta be honest, man. He just seems like a tremendous douchebag. Like I said, he's a little pretty boy bitch. I see you. We cut to some static, and then back in on the surveillance system Tony set up. Bad news there. Apparently there's a blind spot in the basement of all places.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. Tony says it's got some thick stone walls and they need to be able to see down there because they're going to have a half-naked girl chained up in front of a room full of assholes.
Sick.
Tony has the bright idea to hire some big muscle-bound bastard to put in one of these clown suits and keep an eye on things. The half-naked girl's clowncer, if you will. I won't, but you can.
What a strange idea, you know? I don't know if we should put this actress that's half-naked in the basement alone because there's going to be guys down there. Like, this place didn't seem that fucking big to where you're like,
right,
you know,
yeah,
we need a security guard to watch her because
who's going to go try to make the moves on her in front of all the other people at the haunted
sexually
house?
assault her in the middle. I mean, I don't... Maybe sounds more real for 2025.
Right. I guess
you know,
stranger things have and indeed will happen, but
just that whole situation seems strange. We need some muscle down there in case he has to kick somebody's ass.
A little bit. I get where they're coming from, just for the like liability angle of the place, but I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. We cut to Tony hanging up a dummy, and Paul walks up to him and says, "What's the deal? This looks like shit." "Hey, Paul, fuck you. Why is Tony the only one working? How about you put the fucking camera down and give him a hand, man?" I guess the idea is Alex didn't want to spend any money on moving props, so they're working with some bullshit. Been there.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony literally asks Paul for help, and he says, "Nope, Alex says to document everything." "Really, man?" Tony calls him out. He's like, "That's a pretty lame excuse for you to continue being a lazy piece of shit."
Rude.
We cut to another dummy they've got sat behind the piano we saw earlier, and Paul sits down next to it and introduces it as Hector.
Hey.
And then proceeds to play a little ditty that will echo through the rest of this franchise.
Yep, don't like it.
He tries to toss in a little jump scare at the end, but it's a little bit of a lame attempt. But yeah, this...
It's fucking creepy.
And that fucking, you hear it all over the place in this franchise.
It's good, it's creepy.
Super simple, but yeah, just creepy enough to work. We cut to Paul in bed later that night. And he says it's September 5th. They're 3 weeks into the job. He's complaining that it's lonely in the house. Sarah's the only chick, and Alex doesn't like sharing.
Yeah.
And as he's talking, he's got this door open, and there's just like a red light pouring in from the hallway, flooding into the room. And then we see the silhouette of a woman enter and just kind of stands there.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Turns out it's Sarah.
He thinks it's Sarah anyway. It may or may not be Sarah. We don't get confirmation here, but Paul thinks it's Sarah, and he tries to talk to her. He's like, "Sarah?
What's up, dude? Yeah. You cool?"
Yeah.
And then he just shrugs it off.
Yeah, I love his fucking, "What's up, dude?
You sleepwalking?"
Yeah.
Fucking weird. All right, whatever.
Right. Yeah, he turns back to the camera. He's like, "Well, that's fucking weird."
Yeah.
And he signs off and he says, "Sleep sweet," which I'm a little bit bummed about because I've used that as a little variation on sleep tight or whatever, and I can't just talk like a normal person. But I don't want to talk like Paul talks. Fuck. Importantly, during this, Paul mentions the actors arrive tomorrow. Hopefully one of them is bonable.
Oh, yeah. It's very important.
A couple of them look like they might be. Especially Joey.
I was going to say. Fucking Joey, yeah.
And in true Paul style, the next morning, he creeps upstairs with his little camera and peeks into Alex and Sarah's room while she's in her underwear. He gets a nice close-up of her ass.
Dude, goddamn.
Yeah! In his defense, they also didn't have their door closed. So.
Whatever.
But they yell at him, and he's like, "Hey, man, I came up here to help you out." And they both look at Sarah.
Yeah.
He's like, no, not that. "I came here to tell you the actors are here." And Joey and Melissa and Sam show up. Joey's going to be the clown guy. Not exactly muscular, but he is big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Melissa's going to be the chained up girl. Paul zooms in on her face through a window as they stand outside in the rain like a fucking grade A creep.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on with that, but...
And we're not really sure what Sam's role in all this is going to be, but we'll find out soon enough. Martin Cliver comes back on and says he did get a chance to talk to one cop off the record. It was one of the first responders the night shit went down, but he says one of the first bodies he found was one of the Hell House members.
Ooh.
Their throat was cut and the wound looked self-inflicted.
Yeah, god damn!
He also mentions what happened to poor Joey. I guess he initially made it out alive, but he hanged himself 9 days after the event.
Ooh.
Police tried to reach out, but he wouldn't talk to them, just saw some shit he couldn't handle, I guess. A bit later, Paul walks in on Alex and Melissa talking, and she's getting a bit nervous, so he's walking her through what her role is. And Paul immediately turns the creep knob up to 11 and calls her baby. And he goes, "What are you nervous about? Taking your top off? Come on, it's totally cool." And Alex is like, nope, top stays on. However, you will be our main attraction at the end of the tour. You're our damsel in distress. This isn't going to make any fucking sense whatsoever because you're just going to be staring at a bunch of clowns, but it's going to be so cool and you're going to enjoy it and everything's going to work out so great. She's like, yeah, cool. Nobody's going to be touching me, right? He's like, no, that's what Joey's there for. She asks why they're filming everything, and they say, just documentation. This is for us, maybe a little bit for the website, a little marketing.
Oh, yeah.
She stops everything dead and says, okay, so you've heard the rumors about this place. And Alex attempts the most pathetic dismissal of that. Just, nope, there aren't any rumors about this place. It's perfect. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. He's wise to the whole fucking thing.
Of course. And she's like, nah, Doug, the previous owner hung himself in there. And Paul's like, oh, shit, son. When were you going to drop that bomb, Alex?
It adds to the haunt, thank you. Nobody needed to know. There's just some weird shit going on.
Right. He asks if it was devil worship type shit and brings up the pentagrams in the basement. Melissa says, oh shit, I thought that was you guys. Paul's like, nope, that shit's OG.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Melissa launches into the story while Alex stares daggers into Paul's heart. And she says, things kept happening to the guests in the hotel that forced them to shut down. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, missing guests, huh?
And Alex tries to shoo Paul away, and he's like, don't you have some fucking work to do with Tony? And Paul says, nah, man, I'm off today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how shit works. Alex is like, there are no fucking off days. Go do something. And Paul leaves, but tries to make Alex kiss the camera first. Why do we always get that in these found footage things like Mika and fucking Katie?
Right.
Melissa kind of looked like she might have been digging on Paul a little bit here, actually, somehow. But then he kisses her hand and tells her, I'll give you an amazing massage. What the fuck? Alex is like, all right, she was nervous before. Now she's straight up fucking scared. Can you leave, please? He asks how old she is as he leaves. Jesus, dude. And we go back to Martin and Robert telling us about Andrew Tully, the previous owner.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he built the hotel here specifically because of the name of the town, the whole Demon Hell Guardian thing.
Yeah, sick, dude.
And he considered himself a modern-day Dante, which that's fucking a lot. Like, this place needs shut the fuck down. The whole place needs cemented over, blocked off. No construction may ever happen here ever.
I guess. Doesn't seem that bad.
That's Dante's whole thing is the Divine Comedy, the fucking Dante's Inferno and all that shit, 9 Circles of Hell, all the stuff we covered in fucking As Above, So Below.
Nice.
But the first guests to disappear from the hotel were a woman and her young daughter, last seen checking in. I guess the police questioned Tully multiple times, but never got anything out of him. And he was able to show documentation of them leaving, which cleared his name, but the story circulating killed the business anyway.
Right.
A few months later, he hanged himself in the dining room. We get a nice little shot of that.
Yeah, suicide photo's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah. We cut to September 21st, 16 days to opening night. We're back in the basement, and now we've got clowns, one of which, this guy in the middle, sort of becomes the mascot of this franchise going forward.
Mm-hmm.
He's somewhere between Art the Clown and Michael Myers, honestly. Like, his costume is very Art, just the black and white suit.
Right.
But none of the fun elements of Art whatsoever. And the mask, however, is very reminiscent of Michael Myers, except with, painted lips and blood streaking down his face. But otherwise, there's a kind of vaguely melancholy expression, hollow, sunken eyes, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. And he appears in all the rest of the movies as well, I believe. But for now, he's just a dummy. Paul, of course, asks again if Melissa can be topless.
Right.
And Alex, yeah, good. Here.
What? One more time.
The eyes have it. Alex suggests, if you want to see her boobies so bad, why don't you just ask her? Boobies is just the silliest word. Boobies.
Titties.
Yeah, titties is way less silly than boobies is. It's way more official sounding. Titties. But no, boobies. We get an important detail mentioned here. Tony says, hey, this clown mask is great, but the dummy's head doesn't move, so they'll all have to be facing the same direction. Remember that. The dummy's head does not move. I repeat, the dummy's head does not move.
Got it.
Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Alex asks Paul if he wants to put the mask on instead and sit down here staring at Melissa, and he nods the camera.
Not gonna happen.
Then we cut. We're back, middle of the night again. We're back in Paul's room. Apparently, he heard a strange noise that woke him up, and he goes to check it out and runs into Tony, who heard it too. And apparently everyone did, as a matter of fact. They're all in the hallway now. One of them asks if the security cameras are on, but nope, no dice.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Because the haunt is not running right now, I guess, ?
Yeah, I guess they're not really at that point.
There's nothing that they feel they need to be held liable for.
Right.
Alex and Mac disagree about whether they should be rolling all the time here, though. I don't think they're into the idea of exploring that any further right now, though. So we cut to the next day, And Joey shows everybody his super cool eye trick where he pops it out and holds it between his fingers.
Yeah, dude, ew.
Fucking yeah, gross, man. Does this count as more Cinnabites eyeball trauma?
I think so.
CET, as it'll be referred to from henceforth.
I like that we find out here that they just kind of found Joey at the gas station randomly.
Yeah, man.
He wasn't there working.
What the fuck does that even mean?
He was just kind of hanging out.
Well, we don't know because, like, fucking Paul asks, like, you found this dude at the gas station? Was he working there or just kind of hanging out in front of it like fucking Jay and Silent Bob? And he's like, that's a good question. We should probably ask him, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So what do you mean? Like, you just hide... What are we doing, Tony?
Hey, what are you doing, man? Fucking hanging out, playing hacky sack.
But the other thing, like, if, you know, regardless of the gas station being a good place to pick up spare employees, they only hired 3 people? It seems a bit light to me. Every haunted house I've ever seen has at least fucking 20.
I was going to say, so there's 5 of them, 3 hired, so there's 8 people total, but not all 8
But most
are
of them aren't even working it.
I was
like,
going to say,
they're not, like, being actors. Fucking, at the end, Alex and Tony are just, like, sitting there behind the fucking security cams watching everything.
Right.
Mac is running around with, like, a headset and a fucking cam on. Like, he's not a part of the attraction.
Right.
Sarah runs in to talk to him at one point. She's not wearing anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
wait,
strange.
wait. Let me be clear. She is wearing clothes. She's not wearing, like, a costume for the haunted house.
Right.
We cut to Paul singing a little song to a nasty-looking lady dummy. And he goes, I'm writing a letter to Daddy. His mailbox is... And then I'm stopping here because the fucking captions on Amazon thinks that this word is inevitable. His mailbox is inevitable.
Huh.
It's just fucking Thanos. Oh, snap. I don't know how that word makes sense right there. His mailbox is inevitable. Okay. But he walks through checking out the progress of everything. Dining room looks great. Bathroom looks shitty, as he puts it.
Yeah, some big turds in that toilet, man.
Yeah, man. Those are monster turds. I've never seen anything like that come out of a human ass before.
Somebody died.
Maybe that was like someone from Demon shitting out one of those demons from inside him. Remember those little nasty bastards that came out of fucking what's-her-face's back? But no, he walks in and he says hi to old Hector at the piano, and then he sees Max sitting on the couch reading, and he asks him where Alex and Sarah and Tony are. Apparently Alex and Sarah are in the city, but Tony's around here somewhere. And Paul continues through the place, calling out for Tony, and eventually he finds what he thinks is Tony, dressed up in that clown costume and the mask. Clearly not Tony's build at all. Let me just point that out real quick.
Yeah, and this is what's crazy too, is you can't really tell if the dummy's just standing there or not. The clown is staring into the basement and the video pans.
It looks to me that this couldn't be just a dummy. You look at the other ones, like the other clown ones, and they're like, they're stuffed like a scarecrow would be or something like that.
Okay.
This is the only one that legit looks like it has a body in it.
Right.
So what were you talking about? The camera panning to what?
The camera pans down the staircase here, and then when it pans back, the clown's staring at you.
Yeah, which couldn't be the case if it was the dummy because the heads don't move.
Right.
So
fucking jump scare, man.
Yeah, he spooks him a little bit by just standing there, and he asks what he's looking at. So he looks, like you said, turns the camera down to the basement, and Paul gets a shot of the stairs, and when it pans back to the clown, he's looking at him like, what the fuck? I thought he's not thinking, what the fuck, the dummy's heads don't move, because he's thinking this is Tony in the get up.
Right.
So, in this moment, I wanted to point out it looks like there's more blood on this clown's face, though, and it's fresher, too.
I didn't notice.
But Paul walks away, and by the time he gets back to Mac, Tony is in there with him, just hanging out, chatting.
Right.
And in the time that we see, like, there's no fucking way. There also wouldn't have been a path back to this place.
Right.
Tony would have had to run back past him or go all the fucking way around. No fucking way trying to get out of this clown costume. But no, he's just hanging out in his regular clothes, talking to Mac. And Paul freaks the fuck out, of course. There's no way Tony could have fucking,
Yeah, he runs back to the stairs. Clown's gone.
Yeah, of
He's
course.
saying hello. He thinks it's Alex, maybe,
Right. So he runs down the stairs yelling about how he just saw him at the top of the stairs, but when he gets down there, the clowns are all just neatly lined up, sitting on the ground.
Right. And it's the dummy again.
Right.
So I'd be freaking the fuck out too, man.
The other thing I noticed here is they're supposed to be dummies, not moving unless you move them. He's the only clown with dirt on the bottoms of his shoes.
Ooh, I didn't notice that
Dun,
either.
dun, dun. Hell House. Paul runs up and nudges the clown and then goes back upstairs yelling at Tony about the whole thing. And he gathers everybody in the surveillance room to check out the footage, but they just think he's fucking with him.
Oh, yeah. Great prank, Paul.
He's like, no, dude, I shot this solo. And Alex goes, okay, Romero.
Right.
They go outside the next day to film a commercial for the haunted house, but they didn't want to do it inside because A, it's not done, B, they don't want to give away their scares. So instead, they grab a couple dummies and run out to this bench. One of these things looks incredible, honestly. The male dummy.
Oh, yeah.
The
They're
fucking
both pretty
makeup
good.
on that thing was amazing.
Right.
The makeup on the girl dummy was shitty. I don't know why.
I thought they were all right.
Like, why do they decide to, like, do such a fucking masterpiece on one and then just mail it the fuck in for the next one? But they're doing a fun little improvised sketch where suddenly they drop what they're doing to pay attention to Sarah, who's just creepily staring at this statue of the Virgin Mary, it looks like.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She's just appreciating
The
Virgin
art.
Mary.
Yeah, sure.
I get it. She's fine.
Well, they call her name and she smiles and kind of bounds off. And a little later, they hang up the sign. That's pretty sick, too.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Tony hangs up the Hell House sign.
The only improvement that they did to the entire haunted house. Well, we better put a sign up.
Other than the fucking rope lights, I guess, or whatever.
This next scene really fucking got me, too.
Yeah, man. We cut to Paul and Tony running a test on these strobe lights. They set up in the hallway, and apparently Paul has to be locked inside for some reason.
Yeah, that was strange, too.
I don't get what that's about.
Right.
But I love this little pig dude in the foreground. Looks like some Lord of the Rings shit.
I had my eyes on, it looked kind of like a skull mask, and it was a dummy peeking around the corner.
Right.
As soon as this scene started and I could see that, I was like, ooh, they're going to do something with that. I was staring at it.
Oh, buddy.
like, oh, I don't fucking like that.
Yeah, it turns out that was the wrong spot to be staring.
Kind of.
They do a cool little secret handshake and get to work. Tony locks Paul in, shuts the lights off, and turns on the strobes, and as they flash, he says they look good, but then we notice that suddenly there's another figure that pops up that wasn't there when they started.
Right.
And it keeps popping in and out. Like, in one flash it's there, it's not in the next.
Yeah, these strobes are super, super fucking slow, and that's why. You know, I feel like somebody says strobe light, and I'm thinking up all the way.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is very slow, and
when I put them on, I like to find a nice little happy medium. There's, PSA for anyone setting up Halloween decorations next year. There's a sweet spot. If you get like your little, if you have a knob to actually dial the frequency of the strobes, there's a sweet spot in there that makes everything look so fucking surreal.
Right.
And like the tiniest movement it looks like it goes farther, but it's just like kind of goes back to what Nick and I were talking about back in the day, that weird jerky movement, like that unnatural shit that freaks us out so much. So we got some of that going on here. And Paul starts getting freaked out and he runs to the door wanting to be let out. When he finally does get out of this place, he immediately throws up in the hallway, which according to the trivia, that part was not scripted. He just got super worked up during filming and ralphed all over the hall.
Hell yeah, dude. That's fucking awesome.
Right? That's commitment right there. Goddamn. Give that man his Oscar already. We show a few stills of what just went down, and there were actually a few additional figures that kept creeping closer to the camera as he banged on the door. The next day, Paul has everyone out in the yard again, trying to convince them that there's more than meets the eye here. And Alex just tells him, hey man, keep your voice down. I don't want the actors to hear you.
Yeah, don't be scaring the fucking hire.
Well, dude, what are they even doing here right now? If they know their role, they shouldn't even be here till opening night. What the fuck? They're not doing any of the production shit, are they?
Right.
Make them go home.
They should.
They don't need to fucking be here. But Alex says, look, dude, we got 2 weeks until we open. What happens if we don't have any actors because you scared them away? And he says, good. Everybody should know what's going on. And Alex is just thinking about the business aspect of it, not worrying about anyone's safety or psychological health. But Paul just storms off. He's fucking had enough. Robert Lyons pops back up explaining that Alex was too focused on the success of the project and everyone else fell in line because they were loyal to him. Right. Alex was his girlfriend. Him and Matt grew up together. Tony and Paul were his first hires. It's a pretty tight crew, as we mentioned.
All boys.
Right. So we cut to Paul's room in the middle of the night once again. He wakes up and goes to check out another noise and finds the fucking clown at the bottom of the stairs staring up.
Ooh.
Mac walks out like, what's all the hubbub, bub? And once again, he thinks Paul's trying to prank everyone. Right. Poor Paul.
I was going to say, yeah, he's trying to tell everybody there's a fucking issue. And
well, I'm sure it's another fucking Boy Who Cried Wolf situation.
Right.
Like, he's already done so much to them over the fucking years that they're like ready for shit to.
So here, like I said, Mac thinks that Paul's fucking with him again. And the big question, though, really, is this someone in the fucking costume?
That's the thing, man. Like, they creep down the stairs toward it, and eventually Mac taps and shakes its head around. I'd like to point out, once again, after he shakes it, there's clearly a reaction and a recoil as if there's a body inside.
Oh, see, I didn't think so. I thought it was kind of
No, when he shook it, it kind of does one of these, where it's like, I'm sorry, this is an audio episode, but he goes like, like correcting himself.
Oh, weird.
So They decide to move it back, and that's when they suddenly see Sarah in a room by herself, up facing a fucking wall, fucking Blair Witch style.
That's what I fucking said too. It's a goddamn Blair Witch Project. She's standing in the corner.
Yeah, she's mumbling something, but it sounds like she's talking backwards.
Right.
I didn't get any confirmation on what she might have been saying here, but they go to check on her, leaving the clown behind them. Terrible move. Now you have to fight a war on two fronts.
Right.
Fucking danger on both sides. You're surrounded. Matt grabs her shoulder and she kind of comes to and is immediately terrified and has no idea where she is or why. They calm her down a bit and turn around to find out that the fucking clown is gone.
Yeah.
What in the fuck?
Holy shit. I was on the edge of my fucking seat in this scene, man.
Right. So they sweep the place looking for it, but it seems to have just disappeared into the fucking ether. We do, however, get a nice demonic growl to hold us over.
Ooh.
And suddenly a grandfather clock starts chiming in the dining room. When they go to look, everything they had in there before is replaced by a nicely set table with some candles burning in the center.
Right.
They turn back around. That's too much. But when they turn back, they see the fucking clown again standing right behind them, blocking the path that they just came through. Holy shit.
Right. Ooh.
So they decide to just rush past it and back up the stairs.
That's what I was going to say is, there was a panic here and they all kind of rushed out, but they ran right by the fucking clown.
They don't have a choice. They got to fucking do something. They just blow right by it and scene.
Is there not, like, we can kind of tell from the way this movie is that there's like one way around this house, technically two which way you go, but it connects like a big circle.
Yeah.
So they could have rushed the other way still.
Yeah.
But that probably would have required back into the basement and out the cellar door, right?
Maybe. Yeah. Hard to tell.
It's a big place.
I kind of wanted the Law and Order sound to play when it cuts to black here, just the dun dun. The next day, Paul's outside filming Alex trying to comfort Sarah very briefly, and then we cut to him in his room again that night.
Yeah, another vlog with Paul. This time he has his clothes on.
Right. He says it's 3 days until opening night of Hell House. Yippee.
He's not happy. Everybody's stressed out.
But I like how they've set this shot up. Like every time we're hanging out in Paul's room at night, it's the same angle on the door and the red lights washing over everything. And just like in Paranormal Activity, where we're in the bedroom at night with the camera just rolling, we've been conditioned to be afraid of this shot. Whenever we see it, we expect something crazy to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Paul is clearly not excited about being here anymore. He says everyone's stressed, but Alex is actually more confident now. And, I mean, that's interesting. I wonder if there's something kind of taking him over, or if it's just the prospect of a successful haunt that's keeping him going.
That's a good question.
He mentions Sarah isn't doing well, however. He goes, she doesn't look good. She usually does. Oh, is that a clue to us as the audience that he carries a little flame for her?
Oh, maybe.
This makes what happens at the end extra sad, actually. He signs off once again with his signature sleep suite, and it cuts to black, only to come back on in that same shot. Dark room, red light, door open, but now there's a fucking terrifying sound happening, like gasping, hissing, lip smacking, sucking in air, screeching, something. But whatever it is, sounds like it's in the room with him.
Mm-hmm.
He wakes up and turns the camera light on, and as he's laying there just kind of stretching out, we see that there's just some random chick in a dirty old dress just sitting on the floor in his room by the door.
I was going to say, I didn't know if this was like one of the mannequins. I couldn't tell at first if it was supposed to be Sarah, because I kept rewinding it here like,
no, that was very clearly a lady body to me.
Okay.
It had, because like there wasn't anything below like the hem of the dress, like it was just legs.
Is it possible that it was the mannequin from the little skit that they were doing outside? Like it's one of the mannequins they had that came to life too?
Big nope. No, that was like wearing a purple dress, and that thing's face looked shitty. This is a straight up ghost.
Okay.
He cracks his neck and grabs the camera. He sees the chick. He loses his shit. He hides under the covers, which can we talk about how that's never been a good idea?
Right.
Why do people always do that? That's not stopping a monster or a bad guy from getting you. All it's doing is putting you at a disadvantage because now you can't fucking see him.
Right.
And because of that, of course, when he pulls the covers back down to peek out a bit, she's now staring at him. Back under the covers. He pulls him back down and she starts to move. Fuck. Back underneath the covers. Pulls him back down again and she's standing over the fucking bed. Ah! Oh, God, no! Like, why didn't he get his ass in gear when he saw her move, dude? My ass would have been out of there.
Oh, yeah. I'd be swinging on these ghosts.
You don't fucking want none of this smoke, ghost.
Fuck you.
We get a nice moment here where he gets to do some good, like, breath acting. He finally calms himself back down after a minute, but for a second, he's, like, hyperventilating. Like doing that whole thing. Yeah, that. And he calms himself back down one last time to muster up the courage to look, and when he does, like I said, the girl's right on top of him. He gets attacked, and we see that cut with the video glitching in and out. He's fucking screaming for help. I don't know how nobody heard that.
I feel like he gets like wrapped up in this blanket and taken away, you know?
Maybe.
Like they ball him up and
like
up.
a fucking caveman just dragging his new wife off.
Yeah.
A bit later, Tony picks up the camera and he's like, what the fuck, man? Where you at, Paul?
Yeah, Paul's bed's empty. The camera's rolling, you know? So my first thought is, fuck, is he the first casualty? You know? We don't really know. We just know that he's fucking gone.
Yeah, it would seem that way at first glance. Tony and Matt kind of argue about whether Paul would just dip out like that, and it sounds like in 2005, exactly that happened.
Right, and they said he's done this twice, you know? So they're kind of brushing it off as, you know what? It was too much. He fucking bailed, you know?
They walk past Joey, suiting up in his clown getup, and Tony asks if anyone bothered to try and call Paul. No, of course not.
Yeah, fucking geniuses.
So Alex does that. The phone picks up, but all that comes through from the other side is just an awful fucking like electronic screeching, and Alex drops the phone.
Right.
He runs off, and Mac chases after him. We cut to the middle of the night. Tony flips on the camera now, and we hear that little piano ditty Paul was playing earlier. I like the switch. Like, things still need to be documented. Paul's gone. Now the torch passes to Tony.
Yep, don't like this, man. Creep me the fuck out. There's something about that fucking piano.
Yeah, man. He comes out to see that Mac is already at the top of the stairs listening. And Alex walks out as well. Mac tells him to stay with Sarah while he and Tony go take a gander at what the fuck is happening. And I love that this little piano riff is played throughout the scene until just before they would have turned a corner to encounter it.
Yeah, and it like picks up for a second too. It's like, like a little ditty.
That's the thing. It's a cool move to build tension, kind of like when loud music is playing in a horror movie as our main character's trying to escape. You feel more vulnerable because of it.
Right.
But Matt gets away from Tony a little bit as they go through the house, and Tony gets scared like, fuck, man, come back. And like I said, just before they arrive at the doorway, the piano cuts out. And it should be noted at the end, a few dissonant notes were played. Like when Paul played it for the first time, he does like the little audio jump scare thing. Mm-hmm. Still not a feet angle jump scare, but but they burst into the room after the music stops, and nobody's at the fucking piano. Just Hector the dummy. Dun dun dun.
It's just Hector.
It's just me, Hector. Max searches the room looking for Paul, and they're standing in the room. Some more dissonant notes play for a second time from the piano while they're standing in the room. Like it's fucking with you right in your face.
Right.
And suddenly they hear screaming and pounding coming from somewhere. They run down to the basement and look around. We see our clown buddy still hanging out right where he's supposed to be. And then they open the big walk-in freezer to check it out. And then when Tony turns around, all the clown heads are turned toward him.
Right.
Oh shit, son!
Yeah.
This movie's fucking spooky, dude.
Up. Which, I didn't know there was a fucking walk-in cooler down here, you know?
Right. They rush into it and close the door, and I was immediately thinking, hey, they're going to be fucking locked in because it only opens from the outside or something.
That's the last thing you do.
Yeah.
You never want to shut that door, dude.
No, man. Mac tries to calm Tony down, and he's like, look, man, do you believe in ghosts? And Tony's like, yes. He's like, all right, well, I don't. And
he says, it'll be fine, all right? It'll be fine. We're just going to go out. And he's like, no. He's like, it's fine. 1, no. 2, no. 3, here we go.
But knowing what we know of Tony, he's a pretty, like, together dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's pretty pragmatic. He's the one getting all the fucking work done in this house.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a great moment between them because Max says, all right, I'm going to open the door. We're going to go out and we're going to be just fine. And he starts a countdown, and Tony's like begging him not to open the fucking door. And I feel like Tony's doing a great job selling it vocally. Like you can really feel the tension and terror coming through. And they burst out of the freezer, and lo and behold, the clowns are all faced the right way again.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony insists the damn thing's moved. Mac's like, all right, I believe you, whatever. And then they turn around to see Paul sitting on the floor in the same position the chick was in his room.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's kind of the same position as the clowns, too.
Also that, yeah. They try and wake him up, and eventually Mac forces one of his eyes open, and then he opens them both on his own with a very menacing stare.
Yeah, he looks pissed.
And Tony gets him up, and they, walk him back upstairs. The next day, Tony's telling everyone that he thinks they should pull the plug on the haunted house because of everything that's been happening. And Alex is like, what's the big deal, dude? Paul's back. Isn't that good? Tony's like, fucking yeah, right, dude. He might be physically back, but he's still fucking checked out, man.
He said he hasn't said a word. He just sits there. So
I can imagine them trying to like hang out with him, and they're like, Put a little cigarette in his mouth. Fucking put some sunglasses on him.
Tony
Weekend
was
at Bernie's, this dude.
Yeah, he disappears for like 3 nights and shows up, and he's just like catatonic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
good Lord.
Somebody call the fucking hospital, dude. Get this guy checked in.
Well, Tony wraps up this little basement meeting by saying he's out, he quits, and he storms off. And Mac chases him down outside, and now he's got new information to give him. He's like, you don't have all the facts. And he convinces Tony to listen as he gives him a little more backstory. We don't actually hear what the backstory is, but we just cut to Tony sitting in a fucking wheat field from fucking the movie 300. And he just says to the camera, I can't leave. But we don't get an explanation. Part of me thought, spoilers everybody, because I've seen the sequels, there's a thing where they're like trapped in the house now. So like, I was wondering if that's the information that Mac had for Tony. Like, hey dude, listen, we're all dead.
Like they were already planning
we can't leave anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we might as well fucking do this. No confirmation either way, but that's kind of the vibe I got after already having seen the sequels. But like the whole point is we don't get the information that we need to find out why it is that Tony can't leave.
Right.
Why can't anybody fucking leave? What's the deal? Did like Alex make a deal with the devil or some shit?
Cool.
Whatever it is, apparently Paul and Sarah don't know. And Matt goes, the really scary part is why he's not telling him. Whatever the fuck that means. We cut back to Diane asking Sarah about opening night. She's like, were there any props or gear that were malfunctioning? Like, that could have possibly hurt someone? She's like, no. She says she was prepared for opening night and, you know, everything that was happening. And she asks if Alex was of sound mind, and Sarah says, yeah, same as always. Sarah says he had a good rapport with all the actors and an ability to reel everyone in. And Diane asks, why didn't you just leave? And she's like, well, Alex wasn't going to leave. What was I supposed to do? He's my ride.
Oh, okay.
And we cut to Alex trying to pump up the troops and doing a fucking terrible job of it. Melissa asks about Paul, and Alex is just like, oh, yeah, he's totally fine. Why would you even ask? Oh, my God, you're so ridiculous. Like, Paul's fine. And the look on Joey's face here is hilarious. He's like, the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, why don't you just give it to... Like, he can see right the fuck through him.
Right.
And Alex passes it off as Paul is just sick. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
But we're totally going to be okay. We're going to scare some people. Let's scare some people tonight. A lot of people are going to be coming through here. Like, if I were any of these actors, I would walk out the fucking front door right now.
I would have stayed.
Mac tells everyone, all right, let's get into costumes and makeup. It's fucking showtime. Tony and Alex have a moment here where, you know, they apologize to each other. And then Tony tries to wake Paul up to absolutely no effect.
Yeah, not at all.
We cut to that night up on the balcony where Alex is admiring the sign and he does a little Ghostbusters reference. Oh, you don't think it's too subtle, do you? You don't think people will drive by and not see the sign? And they take a peek downstairs, and there's a hell of a crowd forming.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the basement, Joey gets into position next to the spooky clown guy, and Melissa's all nicely tied up, somewhere between bondage and free use. I'm not sure where. But she's wearing a little nightgown that Mac then cuts right down the middle to expose more of her.
Yes.
He confirms with Joey that he has the keys to her restraints. Dude, you can't be actually tying this poor girl
That's
up.
what I thought was crazy.
Like, there's got to be some kind of false thing, like fake handcuffs you can just, like, flip the switch on and get out of real
some
quick.
Legit shit, and the only guy with the key is sitting across the room from her.
Yeah, what the fuck would you actually put her in these actual restraints for?
I thought that immediately, like, that is not fucking cool, man.
You can't just put her in that kind of loose so she can slip out of them or anything? Like,
it's okay. Key's right across the fucking room, you know?
Yeah, fucking Joey and his eyeball have them.
Yeah. He's keeping him behind his eyeball.
But she asks Mac in this moment, she's like, is something wrong? You tell me if there was something wrong, right? He's like, yeah, no, everything's totally great. It's fine. And he cuts open her little nightie and she gets all excited about, you know, just the whole haunted house thing, not being stripped down while tied up. But Mac walks back up the stairs and stops halfway for some reason. Maybe just kind of having reservations about moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And back to the surveillance room with Tony and Alex, they mention Paul is still sleeping. Holy hell, I think somebody's going to need to wake him up with True Love's kiss at this point.
Yeah, something's going on with fucking Paul, dude.
Yeah, man. We get a cool shot of Mac interacting with one of the cameras and having trouble with his walkie-talkie, setting up two things that'll be paid off in a few minutes. We switch to Mac's head cam as he follows Sam out to greet all the guests, and she goes, welcome, everyone. I hope you all have a reservation. No one gets in without one. So it turns out she's like the hostess of this whole thing.
Right.
Back to the surveillance room. The tours are going in full force, and everything seems to be running smoothly for the moment. I love these two sitting at the desk running the show. He's like, all right, I need more fog. Pump in some more fog. All right, kick up the strobe in the rat room. I have no snare in my headphones.
It was very cool, and it kind of reminded me of Cabin in the Woods a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, hey, this is going good. Yeah, kick up the fog in room 7.
Right.
Hey, yeah, more,
they got a whole
more
fucking
tits in the
production
basement,
going
please.
on. Yeah, underground fucking production.
Right.
Like people running the
It's
show.
pretty cool, though.
We move back to our original YouTube video. So we're going through that again. The group goes through the house, except now everything is the same other than we're cutting in behind the scenes footage from the Hell House crew. So when we get to a certain point in the video, we get a segment where they pass, a certain area, and then Sarah runs into a trap door to talk to Mac about Paul.
Right.
She's like, she thinks she saw him somewhere looking at her, and like, oh good, he's up. Get to work, fucker.
Right, yeah, what the fuck?
While they're in the little closet here, we see Joey run by, and Matt calls out to him like, nope, fuck you, fuck this, I'm out. Matt calls over the walkie-talkie to Alex about it, just as him and Tony see it on the security cameras. Mac and Sarah hear some crazy demon noises happening, and he tells her to go upstairs and find out what the hell is going on. That's when we see the segment from the original YouTube video when Sarah runs past them down the hall and up the stairs.
Right. Yeah, I love this editing, man. It's fucking genius.
It's so fucking good.
Right.
Mac tries to get Alex on the walkie-talkie to tell him we can't see anything in the basement anymore. Something's up. And we cut to the YouTube video again, and it was so fucking unsettling when they go to the dining room. Paul is just sitting like in a corner booth, just staring.
Right.
Fucking creepy, dude. And then when they get around to the other side of the room, the camera sweeps back and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they move down to the basement, and we see a few robed figures standing on the other side of the room, and Melissa's screaming at Joey to get the key and let her out. She's calling for help from the people going through the haunted house, telling them, like, this isn't part of the show. I actually need help right now.
Yeah, goddamn.
And that's when Joey gets up and fucking books it out of there.
Can't blame him, man.
Instead of moving through, the group starts heading back up the stairs, causing a bottleneck situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the camera swings back around to Melissa, and she's getting got by these fucking Cenobite hell priests.
Yeah, cloaked fucking figures, man.
Yeah, dude. We cut back from that upstairs, and the group is scrambling to get back out of the house the way they came. And it's fucking utter chaos up here. People running back and forth like they don't know where to go or can't find exits.
Right. And then we get Matt kind of leading people to safety here, which was back in that YouTube video.
Right. They run through the kitchen where shit's fucking falling all over the place, and then Mac's fucking ushering people out a door. Then he turns to go out the door, and the door slams in his face and apparently locks.
Yeah, fuck. So what's the other way out here, man?
Right.
There's that basement cellar door I was talking about.
Yeah. There's a few stragglers behind him. He tells them about another exit. And we cut outside for a second, seeing everyone fleeing for their lives. Then back to the wine cellar area where Tony is. And Mac tells them to get to the basement. As they run through the house, they see another robed dude standing next to the clock from earlier, as well as the weird dirty chick ghost that got Paul.
Yeah, fuck. Dirty chick ghost.
That's all I can really describe her as. I don't know. When Mac gets to the door of the basement, we can hear that Melissa is still screaming down there. And he sees Tony cowering in the corner of the landing. And a robed guy comes at him. And then that door slams in his face as well.
Right.
So Mac decides to go up to the second floor where Sarah is coming down. And he's like, no, go back up. Reminded me of the Lion King with fucking Timon running at the little ribcage prison they got Zazu in. And Zazu's like, let me out. And Timon's like, no, fuck that. Let me in. I'm getting chased by fucking hyenas here.
Reminded you of the Lion King.
Fuck yeah, dude. And they both decide to run up to the attic where they find Alex hanging by the neck and fucking like kicking and jerking around on the rope. Mac runs over to try to help him, and when they turn around, suddenly 3 or 4 more guys in robes are behind them and they fucking rush him.
Yeah.
The tape scrambles a bit, we hear them screaming, and then the camera just falls to the floor, where we see Alex's feet dangling and his shadow on the wall swinging back and forth. Oh man, fucking crazy.
Yeah, this is awesome. All of the windows towards the top of the attic are showing all of the emergency vehicles that are showing up here too.
Wait a minute. Feet dangling? Does this count as a feet dangle? Did we get another feet dangle jump scare?
Oh, it didn't scare me though.
That fades out. We go back to Diane's interview with Sarah. She says when she got to the front door, the police were arriving and she was just happy to be alive. Diane thinks it sounds a little fishy that nothing happened to her the whole time she was running through the house to the front door, and you know what? God damn it, so do I. What aren't you telling us,
She just
Sarah?
got out of the house, no issue, huh?
Exactly. Diane says, dude, if all of this is true, how was it kept from the public for so long? And Sarah doesn't answer. She just suddenly announces that she's tired and wants to take a break.
Yeah. You can't just build up all this fucking story, Sarah, and then just go and take a goddamn nap.
So cameraman Jonathan comes and unclips her mic. Diane offers her some food and drink. She politely declines. And when Diane offers to get her a room to rest in, Sarah says, oh, I already have one. 2C. Give me a couple hours. Come find me there. Oh, no, thank you. That sounds like the spookiest possible idea. I'm good, man. But before she leaves the room, she turns back to say, you know, you really should try and get into that house if you can. See what's inside. Diane goes, yeah, I'd love to, but I can't get a permit. And Sarah says, I'd love it if you'd quit acting like a little bitch. That's the only thing holding you back, a stupid little permission slip? Fuck out of here. This ain't kindergarten, bitch. You don't look for an hour and call it quits. You get your ass out there and you get in that fucking house. But like she's trying way too hard to get her in the house. Like I would have seen right through that shit.
Right.
Cut to Diane trying to convince Jonathan that they should just break into the place. Then she just starts back in on Jonathan, just bullying the fuck out of him. She's like, oh, is widow Jonathan afraid of a widow itchy bitchy ghosty woasty? But he's like, damn, I can't turn down a triple dog dare. And he's like, fine, you get 1 hour. They go down to the lobby. Diane says to the receptionist, hey, we're going to step out for a minute. If the woman in 2C comes looking for me, can you tell her we'll be back in about an hour?
Yeah.
And then this fucking hot Australian, for some reason, hotel clerk says, she goes, come again? 2C? Our rooms don't have any lettuce.
Yeah.
Did you consume illegal drugs in our hotel, ma'am? And Diane asks instead if she can tell her which room Sarah Havel is staying in. And guess what? This hotel employee needs to be fired because she is totally ready to give her that information, which she would absolutely not be authorized to do.
I guess
You can't tell people what
Right.
rooms other people are staying in. Fuck off. But she looks anyway and she goes, there's no one here by that name staying at this hotel. Dun, dun, dun. And another info card tells us that Mitchell stays behind to catalog the footage, and what he saw is unexplainable.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, spooky. The camera cuts back in, and it's just sitting on a barrel in the dining room. It's the night of the incident, but after everyone had already run out. And somebody picks it up, sounds like a female voice crying, I'm assuming it's Sarah, and she is walking through the house with the camera. She sees a random Roby dude standing in the kitchen and gasps and moves the other way. Finally, she runs into Paul. Oh, good.
Yeah.
She runs over and hugs him, and he's just standing there in a fugue state for a second.
Yeah.
And he moves toward her, and then past her, and then picks up the camera and beats her to fucking death with it.
Yeah, I didn't know what the fuck he killed her with here. If it was like a fucking axe or something.
Dude,
Think he hit her
no,
with
it's
the
just,
camera?
yeah, with every swing of the camera, more blood sprays up onto his face, and the video gets all jumbled, showing a quick image of her back in the car at the beginning. That was weird.
Oh, yeah.
But after some spooky, ghostly electrical interference, which for a second kind of sounded like it was playing Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys, Paul puts the camera down right next to her bloody face as she gasps for breath and blood pours out of her mouth and shit.
Yeah, sick.
We see Paul's legs standing on the other side of her, but then we hear more footsteps approaching while his aren't moving. Fuck. Everyone else is dead. Who could this possibly be? You know?
Yeah, it must be the Roby guys. Huh?
And then when Sarah just gets fucking dragged by the feet down the hall, which explains the bloodstain they found on the floor that disappeared into the wall.
Right.
That leaves Paul standing there by himself. And through this whole scene, we've seen the weird interference on the video caused by the presence of otherworldly beings. That aspect gets extra intense for a minute as Paul bends down and picks up a piece of glass from the floor. I think because he's getting closer to it. The closer he gets to the camera, the more fucked up it gets.
Right.
But then he takes this piece of glass, possibly a broken piece of camera lens, which would be poetic, and he slits his own throat, slides down the wall in front of the camera, and dies as the police start pounding on the door.
Right. Fuck.
We hear the glass of a window break, and then the video cuts out. Bravo. We cut to Diane and Jonathan arriving at the hotel. They walk right into the front door. No problems whatsoever.
Yeah, this is the scene from the very opening of the movie too. It's all coming full circle.
Right. Diane's geeking out about finally being inside. She gets to the bloodstain where we just saw Sarah get killed, and she points it out to Jonathan saying, "Oh, do you remember that this is where... Wait, what is this?" And she walks through, pointing things out here and there until they find the basement. She's like, oh my God, check out the blood. Get a shot of that. This fucking cameraman, though, has had enough. He doesn't get paid enough for this shit. He's ready to leave, but he convinces her to go back upstairs, and we see flashbacks in various areas of the crew hanging out during the good times in all the spots that they're walking past. And the cameraman gets freaked out by the piano, like just the fact that the piano works, I guess. Right. And Diane calls him a pussy. She gets startled by a phone call and sees that it's Mitchell. So she ignores it, saying she'll call him on the way back. No, bitch, answer that phone. It's going to save your fucking life.
Yeah, should have answered the fucking phone.
Oh, my God. But they go upstairs, and holy shit, they find a door marked 2C.
Yeah, what the fuck? I wanted to note that it's locked from the fucking outside, too.
Yeah, the latch on it.
Yeah.
That's really fucking weird. This was the room that Alex and Sarah were staying in before, and had we been paying attention when Paul crept into their room when Sarah was in her underwear, and I rewound it to confirm, yes, indeedy, that door always said 2C on it.
Right.
Diane goes to unlatch this door, and Jonathan's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Don't open that. We're not here to go into some creepy-ass room.
Yeah, are you out of your mind?
She's like, I am. But like, wait a second, dude. Isn't that the whole point of being here? To gather information for your documentary? Get your fucking ass in there. But she opens the door, and of course, there's Sarah sitting on the bed facing the window. And then they slowly creep in behind her, and Diane asks if Sarah is okay. And when Sarah turns around, we see blood all over her face again, and the door suddenly slams behind them, which causes Jonathan to whip the camera around. And then when he turns back, Sarah is now standing, and two of those robed guys are in there with him too.
Yeah, fuck.
So they rush the two of them, the video glitches out again. When it cuts back in, the room is empty, and we just hear the piano theme from earlier start to play in the distance, and then it cuts to black. We get a picture of the crew when they first arrived, with text saying, to this day, the tragedy at the Abaddon Hotel remains a mystery to the public. And fucking the end, dude. Roll credits.
Holy shit.
We get a little bit more of that pensive, melancholy piano score kicking back in some dissonant violin joins in. It's pretty unsettling music, to be honest. But Here we are. The end, dude. What'd you think?
Dude, it was good. It was really good. I feel like found footage can really be hit or miss. Like, it's either really, really good or it's really, really bad. I don't think there's a whole lot of middle ground for this stuff.
Honestly,
for me.
yeah.
And this one stood out. You know, I'm a really big fan of Blair Witch. I know a lot of people hate on that. I'm a big fan of some of the Paranormal Activity stuff too, but I think this is a nice refresh, you know, which obviously isn't brand new now, but for 2015, this was a nice refresh on all of this stuff. It's great, man. I think they did a really good job. That fucking clown freaks me the fuck out.
They need a name for him. I wonder if they have a name.
The overall Satan vibe, you know? I'm feeling it, man. I'm thinking like, I don't know, 7 out of 10 for this one for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's 7 out of 10 for me.
Oh, that works. I really enjoyed this movie. From the time I saw it back a few years ago and then subsequently watched the sequels, I thought this was a wonderfully creepy little gem with perfect pacing and tone. And then watching it again, taking notes for it, I'm seeing just how deep the filmmaking prowess goes with this guy. Like, I feel like everything was perfectly arranged to give you just the right pieces of information at the right times to keep you engaged and keep you guessing. And it all culminates in a pretty anxiety-inducing climax. I love the bits, for example, where it's just like, you know, we as the audience watching this documentary know that Mitchell stayed behind to review the footage. And we saw Sarah die. And then when it cuts to Diane and Jonathan in the house, she gets a call from Mitchell and ignores it like, no, that was your last chance.
Right.
You blew it.
Yeah.
But there are so many examples of little details like that in here that really keep my investigative flame burning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And not much to speak of in the gore and practical effects department in this, but it's more about atmosphere and just making sure you're as unsettled as possible in as much of the runtime as possible.
Right.
And I really appreciated that. I felt like the cinematography was handled brilliantly. It may look like a standard found footage movie at first glance, but they do a lot of fancy editing here and throw things in the background at various points to keep you on your toes if you notice those things. And I like the inclusion of a score to add that eerie tone throughout, with both external music swelling here and there as well as diegetic things like Paul playing the piano.
Mm-hmm.
It all lends to an overall creepy experience, and I loved it. If you watch the sequels, we start getting into some crazy shit like time-bending stuff and people being trapped in the house after death and such.
Oh, God.
I really enjoy this franchise. One thing that's not explained for me is the ghost bartender in the beginning. Do you remember in the YouTube video when they first get into the haunted house, they walk past the bar section, and there's a dude standing back behind there?
Yeah, because he yells, turn off the fucking video
He's
camera.
like, oh, you got a fucking camera, huh? I wonder if that's a fucking ghost, man. I wonder if that's the fucking Lucifer's Cabin guy that they were talking about that just shows up, because he's not a part of the fucking crew. He's not Paul. He's not Alex. He's not Mac. He's not Tony. He's not Joey. He's not one of the fucking actors. He's not a part of the crew. Who the fuck is this guy? And he looks like he's dressed up to be in a haunted house, but like, there's no fucking explanation before or after about who he might have been. Right. So I think maybe because he had a little bit of a New York accent going on as well, I was like, oh, that's the fucking Lucifer's Cabin guy that just like happens to show up because this place is haunted and he must have died somewhere along the way, I guess. Wow. But yeah, man, I think this movie is great overall. It's got a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty damn good. Go. Apparently, the first private screening of a rough cut of this was held in the Rose Studio at the Lincoln Center in NYC. The first public screening was held at the Telluride Horror Show in October 2015, and then won Best Paranormal Film at the Fear Fet Film Festival that same week.
Wow.
So as we mentioned, this caught fire pretty quick. There was Hell House LLC 2, The Abaddon Hotel, released in 2018. There was Hell House LLC 3, The Lake of Fire, in 2019. Hell House LLC Origins, The Carmichael Manor, in 2023. And like you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we've also got Hell House LLC Lineage, set for October 2025.
Nice.
So I'm excited about this. Overall, I gave this an 8.5 out of 10 Dirty Ghost Girls. And I would definitely pick this movie up, and this whole collection, honestly. Like, if you're into found footage, if you're into paranormal, if you're into haunted houses, real or otherwise, I'd say it's a pretty good time, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I agree.
Run out and check it out, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. We had a good time. We hope you did too, and we'll catch you on the flip side. As always, dreams are fleeting. Only nightmares last forever. Follow your nightmares.
I bid you welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Cenobites Podcast. If you like what you heard, follow us on our socials at Cenobites Pod on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. It really goes a long way in helping us reach more listeners.
You can stream the Cenobites on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and many more popular streaming platforms and YouTube.
Questions or comments? Suggestions for future episodes? Contact us at CenobitesPod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show and help us make it a better product for you, subscribe at CenobitesPod.buzzsprout.com.
Until next time, keep following those nightmares. Boobies.
Titties.
Get in the flask. You got a heart-shaped hiney.
Popeye's chicken.
Popeye's chicken is the shit. You let the meat slide down your throat hole.
What the fuck? Yeah.
You ever had a snaggletooth?
No.
You ever had your dick sucked by somebody with a snaggletooth?
Probably. Not that I recall, but...